The over giver. So this is somebody that overcommits, right? They feel emotionally drained, like they allow people in their lives to disrespect them. They feel taken advantage of. They feel like they're people pleasing. They actually have a difficulty saying no and like even being, when it comes to like asserting personal needs, which I don't believe in. So I'm going to tell you about why in a minute. But the overgiver type is not even connected to what they want. Like so many clients that fall into this type, when I ask them, what do you want? They go into a state of, now they might be killing it in other areas of their life, like business or parenting or whatever. But when it comes to relationships, they actually don't know what it is that they want. They just know that something is off. Another thing is feeling guilty or unworthy. When they set boundaries, right? If you fall into this type, you feel like extreme guilt. You feel extreme unworthiness. And that leads you to compromising excessively in relationships. Compromise is another thing I don't believe in. I'll tell you why in a minute. Stay till the end of this talk. Compromising excessively in relationships, like abandoning yourself to think, okay, I need to do what the other person wants. All this does is lead to resentment. And this is the struggle between balance of flexibility and self-respect and also on honoring the other person. It's falling too much into honoring the other person over yourself. And it's a very wounded feminine way of being because we have healthy feminine, healthy masculine, wounded feminine, wounded masculine, right? So this is more wounded feminine energy. Now, there is nothing wrong with you because if you heal this and you integrate this, the superpower of integration is you will actually become the ideal lover because you are so able to tune into the other person and know what it is, where they're at, and everything. And that is a superpower. But because it is imbalanced right now and you're not able to hold your own energy, you're leaning too much into the other person's energy, this actually makes you less magnetic. It's like a magnet losing its power. It's like a battery losing its polarity because it's leaning too much in the other side when you should be centered in yourself. Right? Otherwise, you'll feel like I am giving everything. I'm giving my whole self. Like, why is that not enough? Why am I not getting what I want back? Why am I not getting the power? Like, you're losing your power and you're losing the attention of the other person. But once integrated and you're in your own energy, you actually become the ideal lover. Now, this person, when I work with this person, they hold the most baggage in the sacral and solar plexus. And at the end of this masterclass, I'm going to be telling you exactly what that looks like. What does that mean? Where does that come from? I'm going to be talking about the ancient persecution wounds that we have carried for generations in our chakras. So the overgiver holds most of this in their sacral and solar plexus. Now, the second type is the wounded warrior. This means that there has been so much trauma from your life experience, right? So what does this kind of person look like? So they're carrying unresolved emotional baggage. They're carrying insecurities from their past relationships. They haven't integrated the hurt. They have actual difficulty like just letting go and making peace with the past, forgiving. Another thing I don't believe in, which I'll tell you why. This person experiences deep-seated fears. Their insecurities just play out. Even if they do attract somebody healthy, it's like the fears are just coming to the surface, and this develops into having trust issues. It makes you go into a hard shell and become more masculine because you're now going into that protective mode. It's like energetically, it looks like a hard exterior and a pushback. Whereas inside, you're soft, like you want to be loved, you want to be held, you want to be vulnerable. But you've become so disconnected from your divine feminine flow, and you're leaning too much into controlling situations because you don't want to get hurt. Like you've been so hurt from your experience that you don't want to be hurt anymore, right? And this, you can see this in a lot of like amazing, like everything. This applies to both men and women, but I'm predominantly just saying she, and also applies to non-binary as well. But what the thing here is, if there's somebody who's like an amazing boss babe, boss CEO, whatever they call these days, right? It can maybe show up as like being very free flowing in other areas of life, but when it comes to love, you're coming in as the wounded warrior. And that energy is very repelling because it's like, I don't want to get hurt, right? Whereas the overgiver is too pulling. The energy looks like, oh, what can I do to please you? What, like that. The wounded warrior is like, oh, oh, and I've been this. I've been the wounded warrior before, right? So I know what this feels like because you don't want to get hurt, but you can heal this. And the superpower of integrating this is you actually end up making the wisest choices in love. You end up finding that perfect partner for you because once you dissolve all this armor that you have, you actually find really good partners. And more than that, you're able to step into a seductive energy, the healthy coquette, because this fear that you've been carrying has actually made you independent and you've been in your own energy too much. So you're like, no, I'm good by myself. But once integrated, you're able to hold that energy within you, and that creates that air of mystery, and that creates it keeps your relationship fresh once it's brought into balance. So the wounded warrior carries the most baggage in their root chakra. Why? Because they are like the trust and all of that is linked to safety. It's linked to, I don't feel safe enough. I've been hurt before. I can't open up to you. Like, I'm just so scared. I'm gonna get hurt. Something always happens and I will feel unsafe again. And every time, that becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. So every time, you get hurt again, you pull back again, and then there is more armor. So that is the wounded warrior. Now, the third one is the seeker of parental love. Now, this is the person, obviously I've linked my mother and father wounds talk, but this is the person that is still playing out their parental relationships. They are still playing out their relationship with their mother and their relationship with their father in every aspect of life, especially relationships. This can look like seeking validation and approval, attracting critical or neglectful partners, just partners who remind you of your mom or your dad, your mother or your father, right? Now, this doesn't mean that because I know there's that like consensus out there. If you're a woman, you attract partners like your father. And if you're a man, you attract partners like your mother. That's actually not true. You can attract partners like either. Whatever is the most unresolved, whatever is causing the most dominant feelings to be coming up, that's the kind of partner you will attract, right? And you'll be reenacting parental dynamics with them. And I'm going to be telling you exactly, I'm going to tell you 3 case studies of how that can happen, right? This person also feels very unworthy of love and affection because they just didn't get the love and affection that they wanted from their parents. It's not that their parents didn't love them. Their parents loved them in the way that they know how. But if they have incorrect love programming, then it's not true love. That is the truth. If we're talking about high vibrational true love, that's something that on earth we haven't really experienced. Only the select few experience, but we're moving into that. And this is why this work is so important. Another thing is they have difficulty trusting partners due to familial betrayals, right? If they have felt the core humanity's core wounds, rejection, abandonment, humiliation, and betrayal and injustice, which we have all felt. But if we have felt it to the point where it's just like lodged in our physical system and our emotional system and our energy system, you will be like, I can't escape this cycle. I can't escape my parents' is whatever I had with them or the relationships I've experienced. And a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, I had a pretty good childhood, so I don't know if that's me. And then when we do the work, we realize that it doesn't mean you've had to have a massively bad childhood. It's just the dynamics, whatever is familiar to you in your familial dynamics will just keep playing out, right? So one of these things could be expecting your partner to be the parent that you just never had. Your parent might have been physically present, but you might have needed something emotional and you didn't get it. So now you go out into relationships and you're looking for that parent, right? In people. And whatever they do, it just doesn't feel good enough because you're never going to get that need met from a person. You can only get that need met from your parent, or healing yourself and reparenting yourself and giving yourself what you want, right? But until you get there, you will just keep looking. I can't find the right, like, because you're looking for your parent that was never there. You're looking for your absent parent, you know, emotionally absent, physically absent, whatever. So I had a client and she was just doing this and she could not get what she wanted from any relationship. And it was through accessing the inner child, through opening up her energy realms. And we taught, you know, we worked on learning to reparent herself by being really present with herself, you know, being really quiet with herself. All she needed is someone to just be present with her. And we both did that. And this in turn just dissolved all these emotions, dissolved all these dying needs that she wanted from her parent. And now she's like happier than ever in her marriage and all her relationships. She chooses even friendships and relationships, like other relationships, from a place of freedom. You know, like, what do I want? What do I desire? Not like, what do I need? That's a very different energy. The other one is parenting the other, right? So if you were somebody who were used to in your family dynamic about like actually looking after your parents, you will attract people that you have to take care of, right? You will attract people that you have to like financially take care of, emotionally take care of, physically take care of. I'm not talking about the healthy love where you take care of each other. I'm talking about the dynamic is not balanced. I have met a lot of women, and I have worked with men too, but in this particular case study, she was attracting men that she just would heal and she would like pour into. And then when they were healed, they would just like leave her and like find another woman and give that woman everything. And she was like, this is so unfair, you know. And I was like, well, you're attracting men who had a mother wound. Like they were attracted to you because they just did not have what they wanted from their mother, and you helped them heal. And now they're gonna just find they're not gonna be a match to that anymore, right? So in her household, she had to grow up quick. Like she had to play the mother role as a child, and she was projecting her inner child onto men. She was making them the inner child, and she was reenacting the mother role. And that's why they were never fulfilled and she was never fulfilled, because this is not healthy love. This is just a reenactment of parental dynamics. And when we worked together, we accessed her inner child again through vulnerability, released her emotions in her body. And it just looked like metal. Like the energy in her body looked like just metal, because it was just so, that means when I see metal, so ingrained in her body that unless we had cleared it, she was just gonna keep repeating. The other one is I've met so many amazing people, right? They're just incredible. And then they choose partners that everyone's thinking, why did that person choose that person? Because they're choosing what's familiar to them, right? They can be amazing at other areas of life, but because they haven't integrated and completed their familial patterns and their mother and father wounds, they are choosing maybe toxic or critical partners or explosive partners or neglectful partners, whatever that was heightened, whatever they're used to, because they've said, okay, this is love. And we can see this a lot in the media where they like play out certain narratives and say that this is love. And it truly is not love. It's just something that we have become familiar to. So we worked together and, you know, we were like, okay, you are addicted to the fight or flight pain. You know, our bodies can actually be addicted. Our nervous system can be addicted to what's familiar. And she did not feel good around healthy partners because they weren't creating that chaos, right? And when we worked together and we did the whole thing and I held space for her to release those pent-up emotions and re-regulated her nervous system back, but not just her nervous system, on a physical level, emotional level, and spiritual level, to make sure there's nothing lodged in her system, which is causing a short circuit, right? Causing her to keep going into fight or flight. And when she became used to being seen and held in a healthy energy through our sessions, then when she is like, she became recalibrated to health now. So now when she was on dates or with anyone in her life, this goes beyond just relationships, by the way. Like this goes to everybody now, you know, and now she can only be around healthy people because she knows the difference. She knows the difference between a healthy person and a not healthy person. Right. And what we did, sorry, hay fever, guys. What we did is we went to the point before conception because this was lodged, this pattern, the origin of this had come from the moment before conception. And that's very personal, so I'm not going to share that. Right. So the next archetype is the thrill seeker, which is just the person I was talking about. This is somebody who attracts unhealthy relationship patterns, which are reoccurring. They attract emotionally unavailable or toxic partners, having frequent breakups, heartaches, repeating the same mistakes in relationships without understanding why, addicted to the highs and lows, and using chemistry and attraction as a measure of a healthy relationship. No. No, 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 no. Never use chemistry and I feel like fireworks and butterflies and everything. And this means that this is my partner and I'm going to be, no, because that is if you have not healed, right? If you have not healed, you will be pinging, you'll see something that's familiar to you, especially if your familiarity is like an unhealthy dynamic that you have seen, and you will say, yes, that feels like home. I feel like, I feel this inexplicable connection with this person. No, you should actually feel really calm and like yourself and like you can be more and more vulnerable. The chaos and the highs and lows is trauma bonding in psychological terms, if we're going to use that, right? So that is, don't use that as a measure of a healthy relationship. That's the last thing you should use, especially if you've got a lot of like pain and baggage that we need to clear or purify, right? So what is the superpower of integrating and healing? The thrill seeker. So they are able to obviously heal and have healthy relationships, but they're also able to, because they've, so I also had this dynamic, right? And I am a thrill seeker, but I like taking risks, but I don't do that in my relationships. I do that in my business. I do that in my creativity. I'm able to be fun and free-spirited, and I'm able to keep the mystery and like do new things, but I channel that into other areas of my life. So do you see how none of this is wrong? None of this, how you are, is wrong, but it just needs to be integrated, healed, balanced, and channeled in the right ways. The last two, so the other one is the disconnected, right? Now, this is somebody that they just can't feel that connection with anyone. So they can be in a room full of so many people, but they still feel alone, right? They have constant communication and connection challenges. They experience frequent misunderstandings and conflicts. So maybe they're not fully being themselves. They're just kind of like wearing a mask. And they really struggle to like connect on a deeper spiritual level that they want, because deep inside they are a deep person, but everything just feels surface level, and they're struggling to connect with their higher self and their intuition. And it just feels like limbo, right? This person has completely disconnected from everything. So they don't even know. It's like the confusion in them is just so extreme. So they're not connected to their physical bodies, the signals of their physical bodies. They're not connected to their intuition or their higher self. They're not even connected to their emotions. So and this baggage, I don't see in a particular chakra. I see all over. Right? The thrill seeker, by the way, has the most baggage around the third eye. But this person, the disconnected person, has just baggage everywhere because they're not connected. And they feel like, I can't feel intimacy with anyone anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. Like, I just feel like I used to be this person and now I'm this person. And it's just confusion. Okay. But what is the superpower of integrating this is you find yourself again. You go through a rebirth and you find the truth of who you are. And you actually have the ability, the superpower of being the most loving, affectionate, and present person, right? But right now, whatever has happened in your experience has fully it's like your energy body is like floating up there and you're not connected to the rest of yourself. And that's a painful place to be in. because you will just continuously experience loneliness because you don't know who you are and who's right for you or why this is happening or why no one's understanding. Okay, but it can be healed. So the last one is the fairy tale syndrome, where someone is like heavily programmed into limiting beliefs. Now, this person, but I'm going to be telling you the superpower because this isn't a bad thing. Now, they can just believe that love must look or feel a certain way based on past conditioning, based on programming. And they might just be struggling to break free from outdated relationship patterns. And they just, what this feels like is like, I'm doing everything I should be doing. I'm doing what my friends are doing. I'm doing what my family are doing, but like, it's not working. Like, why am I feeling off? Now, this is because you've been programmed, and you carry the most baggage in your third eye because what blocks the third eye is illusion, right? But you are actually the alchemist. You can shift the quickest in relationships because guess what? If you've been programmed the other way easily, then you know you're correct, you now get acquainted with the correct love programming, you can super integrate that quickly and make a shift in your relationships like that. I mean, all these types can, but if someone is programmed the other way, it's easy for them to be programmed the right way, right? We're just all programmed. We just want to be making sure that we're downloading the high vibrational programs into our system. So this person can do that.